So check it. There's this clip going around on a podcast where this woman says something to the effect of, when men have low self-esteem, they tend to be very hostile towards attractive women. And she also explained that when women have low self-esteem, they can also be very hostile towards attractive women, where that's not always the case when it comes to attractive men. And when I saw the clip, I immediately knew that the audience was going to have a bad reaction to it. And they did when I went in the comments section. But guess which group agrees with her, myself included? Therapists and coaches. A bunch of therapists and coaches jumped in the comments and said, no, she's not making this up. This is a thing. So I think this would be a great topic for us to talk about today on live. I'm about to tape some content with Bridget, but when I'm done, I want to do a live today about why do attractive women elicit and inspire hostility in people when they're not feeling good about themselves. And I want to expand the terminology attractive to people who are attractive in real life, not just conventionally attractive.
Men react negatively to attractive women.
Yes.
Why is that?
Men automatically go in two directions when they see a beautiful woman. They either go in awe or they go into hostility. But when their self-esteem is super, super low and they're really low about themselves, they immediately want to reject her before she can reject him. They want to find reasons to kind of get rid of their attraction. They have to somehow obliterate her self-esteem in order for them to make sense of why they're so attracted to her, but get rid of it because they don't want to face the rejection.
How do women react to attractive women?
What I find with women when it comes to attractive women, even the women that say that they're girls, women will always side with the woman that they find least threatening looks-wise. Yeah, that's it. High self-esteem women are not threatened by attractive women. As a result, when they see an attractive woman online, they either scroll past because they're not interested or they support because they are not threatened. When they have low self-esteem, they have to somehow or another take something away from her.
Hey family, welcome to another edition of Free Game. Today we're going to be having a really interesting conversation around the way the world treats dynamic women, particularly dynamic women in positions of power. And we're going to be having this conversation not just because it's an interesting conversation and the clip that I posted is just really great. We're going to be having this conversation because it occurred to me that discussing the ways that people harbor subconscious bias and hostility to attractive dynamic women is particularly pertinent right now, a week before we might potentially be electing the first woman president, right? Us. And it's not lost on me, by the way, that I'm about to have a conversation with you about how being attractive affects the way people treat you while looking slightly homeless. I have no makeup on. I have nothing on but 2 layers of Fenty lip gloss. Didn't even bother to do my hair. Look at this. Homeless. Didn't bother to do my hair. Didn't brush my brows. Didn't even fluff my bang. Okay? So I do think that me coming on here dressed like I just came off the couch, because I did, is kind of perfect though, right? I think if I came on here all dolled up, you know, with my titties up to my chin with bright red lipstick and my hair all big looking like a fucking lion, it might feel like this conversation was me in some way working through my own shit. It's not. So I think me walking around looking homeless, or I should say sitting around looking homeless, having this conversation today, is actually perfect because it's going to make you have to focus on the fact that this is not about me. This is not about personal opinion. It's about data. It's about insight. It's about introspection. And it's also about how are we going to be acting the next 4 years if and when we do have a woman president. For those who did not see my post before going live and who are just, somebody said homeless chic. Yes, homeless chic, Tony. For those of you who did not see the post that I made before this live, about an hour and some change ago, I posted a video where a woman was talking about how when men meet attractive women that they deem to be very attractive, they only have one of two reactions if they are attracted to women. Either, number one, they're in awe of her, or number two, they feel hostility towards her. And she went on to explain the reason that is you feel awe because she's a beautiful woman and you appreciate it, or you feel hostility because you immediately assume that someone that beautiful, that attractive, that alluring is going to be conceited, vain, difficult, etc., and is going to deem you unworthy of being in their presence And so before they can reject you, you immediately and quickly try to figure out how you can reject them. And she said that a lot of men do this. A lot of men will meet a beautiful woman, be attracted to her because of her beauty, be attracted to her because she's dynamic, and then once they have proximity to her, immediately do everything in their power to make her regret ever giving them a chance, right? I've lost count of how many times an attractive woman has told me, he came looking for me. Why is he trying to humble me when my confidence is what got him? Now, before we have this conversation, because this conversation has the ability in the wrong hands to come off like gender wars. This is not going to be a gender wars conversation because it's the most compelling to talk about how men and women in cis-het relationships show up for each other. So that's just the low-hanging fruit. I'm always, as I always do, going to pan out to how women do the same things to each other and also why this doesn't apply to attractive men, while also explaining the etymology of the words that I'm going to be using, giving historical data about the opinions that I have and some universal truths that you might think are opinions that are bigger than me, and also give you a call to action about how do we move forward after this, right? And the reason why I'm outlining this is because some of you are new to me. Some of you have not ever been to one of my lives. For those of you who are new, hi, I'm Blue Telusima. I'm a writer, producer, podcast host, and an emotional intelligence coach. And every single week leading up to my workshops that I do 3 times a year, I do something called Free Game, where every week I come on here at random times. I do an announcement. I come on here at random times to give you guys free game to prepare you for the level of coursework that we do in the workshop. And the workshop is called the Own Thy Shift Self-Mastery Workshop. We do it for 8 weeks on Wednesdays. The next one is in January. I'm going to put there's still a discount code up, guys. Register with Blue. I'm going to put the code up now. And for those who are going to be listening to audio only, the URL is winter25.eventbrite.com. Up until yesterday, there was a $100 coupon off. Now there's still a $50 coupon off. So don't be upset. I hate typing with one finger. Eventbrite.com. For those who are coming in while I'm acting like an auntie and typing the URL with my pinky, hit send and then winter25.eventbrite.com. All right, pin the comment. For those of you who are coming in, today we're going to be talking about the clip that I posted. If you haven't watched the clip, please go back on my page. It's only 2 minutes long. I'll probably still be talking. Go back on my page. The clip is about how women who are attractive are often seen as threats to everybody, while men who are attractive are not. And why is that? You guys know that I am very, very, what month does it start? It starts January 22nd, and we do it for 8 weeks on Zoom. We have international clients that come on all the time. We have a young lady right now from Australia who's calling in on Thursday mornings for our Wednesday night class in America. So it's international. All you need is strong Wi-Fi and to pay for the class so I can send you the link. Anyways, back to what we're talking about today. The reason why today was so great for me is because I think that on a personal level, this conversation is going to be helpful for a lot of you who want to have it. And also on a political, social level, this conversation is really important. So I'm excited about the fact that we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence today, but we're also going to be talking a little about politics and self-identity and self-efficacy and all types of stuff. But we're not going to be doing gender wars, okay? So if there's any of you in here who saw the original clip and came in here to play gender wars, I hate to disappoint you. I'm not that small-minded. Now, if we're going to be talking about attractive women, because the question I posed, make sure I wrote this down, was why do attractive women trigger people so much? Why do attractive women trigger people so much? Now, the minute I talk about attractive anything, which is subjective, in a world where the red balloon game is all the rage, immediately I'm going to have to make sure that we're all speaking from the same vantage point, right? So I'm going to tell you what attractive means by definition, not my opinion, because the easiest way that people love to assert how insecure they are is to disagree with facts that are not meant to be agreed with or not, right? Like, I'm not going to argue with guys about what attractive means. I'm going to read to you what it means literally and then expand out to what it means socially. All right, attractive, adjective. In a person, attractive means somebody who's appealing to look at or sexually alluring. In a thing, attractive means something that is pleasing or appealing to the senses, or something that has a beneficial quality or features that make you want to trust what is being offered. Synonyms for attractive are appealing, agreeable, pleasing, inviting, tempting, and interesting. Did y'all hear those synonyms? Synonyms for attractive are appealing, agreeable, pleasing, inviting, tempting, or interesting. Now, why am I reading the definition of attractive, and why did I not trust the audience to know what that means? The reason why I'm reading the definition of attractive is I think some of you might have had a more myopic view of that word. Attractive means you please my senses. Now, conventional attractive means you please my senses based on metrics set by the mainstream. That is not the only version of attractive. I know plenty of people, myself included, who hit the metrics for attractive despite not being conventionally attractive, right? And so we want to be honest about what attractive means in the small sense versus what it means in real life. How many times have you run into somebody who was not conventionally attractive, who had an interesting face, wasn't a size 2, couldn't be a supermodel in the conventional way, and yet they were popping. They were sexy. They were pleasing. They were interesting. When they walk into the room, people flitter towards them. When they talk, people lean in to hear what they're saying. When they're going out on dates, you can see why somebody would want to sleep with them, even if they're not your type. It's really important to understand that attractive in its truest non-white supremacist way means, are you pleasing to my senses? Meaning, do you make my dick hard or do you make my mind start to feel like it's alive? Right? So be clear. I cannot tell you how many times I thought me as a plus size brown skin woman over the age of 35. I'm like, I'm in LA where everybody's obsessed with youth and skinniness and proximity to whiteness. I should be safe from any sexual advances that I don't want because I'm not conventionally attractive. And what I didn't factor in is I'm cute and I'm funny and I'm smart and I'm interesting. And so guess who was still trying to get fucked on the low and was not prepared for it? So the reason why I am making sure we all have a shared understanding of attractive is I don't want anybody to waste their time saying, but Blue, I don't think you're attractive, or Blue, I don't think this person that you're going to reference is attractive. I don't give a fuck. Right? Attractive means that somebody took one look at you and your energetic real estate and said, I need to be closer to that is appealing to my senses. There are a lot of people who are pretty, who the minute they open their mouths, they stop being attractive. And there are a lot of people who are regular looking, cute, who the more they talk, the more you're like, I wonder what she looks like naked, right? So let's be really, really honest about attractive. And for those of you who are stuck on the very flattened version of the word, I'm going to switch out attractive for dynamic. Because dynamic actually more accurately encapsulates the sentiment that the woman in the clip that I'm talking about was talking about when she said that people are hostile towards attractive women. People are hostile towards dynamic women, right? If a woman is smart, funny, educated, and able, and has the nerve to also be cute, you're gonna most likely feel a way, and there's a reason for that we all have to be honest about. But before we get into the reason, let me also do one more point of nuance. This is a micro conversation, not a macro conversation. Now, what does that mean? Micro means in the weeds. Micro means granular, person to person, intimate, right? People being hostile towards dynamic feminine energy is an interpersonal thing that happens in intimate settings, one-on-one or in small groups. However, the opposite happens in big groups. The same people who might feel threatened by you and hostile towards you when it's one-on-one or when they're comparing themselves to you, one person to another, will also kiss your ass when that same attractiveness makes you pop it in public. So on a macro level, which means large scale, being attractive is a good thing because on a large macro level, it creates pretty privilege. Yes, some of you are walking in here thinking that what I was going to say today was going to debunk pretty privilege. It's not. They're just two different conversations. Pretty privilege means when on a wide sweeping gaze, you being pleasing to the senses affords you access to things because people think that the optics of you in the room look good, right? So pretty privilege means you're cute And therefore, I might be able to deal with your attitude, your X, Y, and Z, the space that you're taking up a little bit better because I like looking at you, right? That is pretty privilege. Then there is this, what I'm talking about now, which is hostility towards dynamic women. The same people who tell me all the time, oh my God, Blue, I'm so proud of you. I saw you on this podcast. I saw you at this event. I saw you in this VIP thingy. Oh my God, Blue. The same people who clap for me really loudly when it comes to public persona are often the same people who, if I was to hang out with them every single day, one-on-one, and they had to see how I live my life and navigate the room and how they live their life and navigate the room, those same people might suddenly find themselves annoyed, envious, insecure, judgmental, and ultimately hostile, right? Pretty privilege only works in broad strokes. Pretty privilege means you look good, so I want you on my arm, or I want you in my bed, or I want you in my pictures, or I want you in my movie or my project. Because being next to someone who's dynamic and attractive on the large scale makes it seem like I'm part of a winning team. The reason why pretty privilege works is it's something that other people can selfishly latch onto. When a man chooses a woman based on pretty privilege, it's not because he cares about her. He cares about how her attractiveness makes him look desirable. Someone desirable finds me desirable as a lover. Someone desirable finds me desirable as a friend. Someone desirable decided to choose me to be their business partner. That's when pretty privilege is very much a real thing. But when we get intimate on a micro level, and it's human being to human being, and the optics are not for others, the optics are me looking into your eyes and having to figure out how you make me feel about myself. Not how you make others feel about me, but how you make me feel about myself. That's where that same attractiveness becomes a liability. Does that make sense, guys? I want to make sure that we understand that hostility towards dynamic women is not just debunking of pretty privilege. It actually is showing you the underbelly of pretty privilege. Because what it means is, if you are someone who has a big personality and who is pleasing to the senses, whether it's because you're cute, funny, sexy, rich, famous, or whatever, understand that you've probably at least once in your life had someone who was a fanatic of you when you were at a distance, and then when you were at up close, they treated you like shit. This is what we're getting to today, right? You oscillated from pretty privilege to attractive hostility. And that is a fucking thing. And I'm going to say this. I do not have pretty privilege, right? Because I've gotten a couple of DMs about this. I don't have pretty privilege. I have conditional cultural pretty privilege, which means if I'm in a room of, let's say, Latin American or Caribbean or Southern Black men, I'm probably going to find somebody who thinks I'm attractive, right? If I'm at a club hanging out with my homegirls and them, and we are in a black or brown area, people are going to find me attractive. If I'm on a TV show that's being pumped out to middle America, people who subscribe to the optics of white supremacy, suddenly the pretty privilege I might have felt in my community goes away, right? That's why knowing, are you conventionally attractive or just attractive in real life, is very, very important, because a lot of people who are attractive in real life go out into the mainstream via CNN, Fox News, a reality show, go viral, and suddenly someone who's felt pretty their entire lives is like, oh shit, my pretty doesn't translate towards white supremacy in the mainstream. And it creates an insecurity in them. So you have to understand, if you've ever wondered why a really attractive person moves like an insecure person, it's because their pretty privilege was conditional and they entered rooms where it didn't actually get honored. And there's nothing worse in this world than thinking you're pretty and thinking you cute and finding out from a couple million people all at once that you're not, according to them, right? So when I say I'm not conventionally attractive, it does not mean I don't think I'm cute. Please do not waste your time saying, but Blue, you're beautiful. Nobody said I was ugly. I said I wasn't conventionally attractive. There is power as a Black woman knowing that I'm beautiful, even if I'm not considered conventionally attractive. And one of the things that's always been interesting to me is, and this is actually a tie into the conversation today, is because I am comfortable in my body and think I'm attractive while recognizing how I look to the mainstream, when I speak from that place of confidence, because I ain't got a lie to kick it, people who do subscribe to the mainstream are the first ones trying to give me fake compliments. I was talking to a person the other day and I was like, yeah, you know, as someone who's not conventionally attractive, I have to recognize that as a fat black woman, there's certain things that people are going to expect of me when I'm on television that are not my actual lived experience, and I'm prepared for those misgivings. And the person I'm talking to, rather than saying, wow, friend, that's a great nuanced point, I'm happy that you're preparing yourself to be in spaces where you have to be clear about how you're being perceived. Instead of giving me applause for being so objective about my optics, this person was like, oh, I can't believe you called yourself fat. Bitch, what? I am a fat black woman. But she's like, no, but you're beautiful. I didn't say I wasn't beautiful. Who said I wasn't beautiful? And in that moment, I don't think she revealed. I don't think she recognizes how much she revealed about herself while she thought she was giving me an unnecessary pep talk about myself. The reason why I intentionally mentioned that I know that I'm fat and I don't think it takes away from me being attractive, and I intentionally say it when I'm in the presence of other people, is because I want to see how you react to finding out that I'm not delusional and I still like myself. That's why I say the word fat, guys. I don't just say the word fat for political reasons. I say it to gauge the room. Are you comfortable with me knowing I'm fat and still thinking I'm attractive and worthy? Because the funny thing about the young lady I mentioned, she works out 2 times a day, 5 days a week, is a size 8, and thinks that she needs to lose 10 more pounds. She lives in a world where she is not comfortable in her body and thinks that despite the fact that she literally looks like a mid-sized model, something in her needs to do more to be attractive. So when I'm saying I'm a fat black woman who knows she's cute and also has to recognize the optics of the mainstream, I'm speaking a foreign language to her, because in her world where she's not good enough, it's fucking with her that I think I'm good enough while still telling the truth. I don't think you guys understand, when you're dealing with a securely attached person, you are always going to unintentionally show who you are by how you react to them. Securely attached people are mirrors, right? All the things that you make apologies for, when you're around someone who's not apologizing, it's gonna fuck with you. And in that moment, like in that video that we just saw that I'm referencing, you have 2 options. You're either gonna be in awe of it and wanna lean in and learn how to be like that too, or you're gonna be hostile. Why does this fat, brown-skinned, racially non-ambiguous, middle-aged bitch think that she's allowed to think she's cute? Why does this bitch think that she's allowed to pull niggas that I wouldn't even try to pull? Why does this bitch think that she's allowed to talk with so much bass in her voice? Why is she allowed to not worry about being likable and just tell the truth and think that she's still deserving of respect? And I'm asking these questions because I can't do any of that. And that is the crux of why dynamic, i.e. attractive women, bring out hostility in people, men and women alike. Now that we've explained what attractive means in the context of this conversation, I also want to make sure that we talked about, that we talk about bias and how it works in all of us, right? Because the reason why this conversation, somebody said she's perfect on the outside, but very insecure on the inside. Yeah. And you know what the funny thing is? The more she talks, the less cute she is. She was prettier to me before we became friends. Right now, we're not friends, we're colleagues, but she was prettier before she started talking. That's the thing about dynamic women. A dynamic woman, if you thought she was cute when you met her, suddenly the more she talks, the more you watch her hustle, the more you watch how she moves, the more you see her navigate her life, you're like, yo, did she get finer? Like, what's going on? You become more impressed the more you get to know. A person who's just physically attractive, after like 1 or 2 dates, you're going to be like, oh God, you're a pretty idiot. Got it. Right? So I want to make sure that we understand that on the macro level, prettiness is a privilege. On a micro level, it's a liability. For anybody who's taking notes, because this is called free game, please take that note, because that's going to be really, really important when we get into the more nuanced posts. Now, about why does this only apply to women and not men? Because some of you DM'd me and said, Blue, well, doesn't this, you always talk about being gender neutral. You said that attractive women inspire hostility. Shouldn't be attractive people? No. I said what the fuck I meant. Attractive women. What do I always say? I make everything gender neutral unless gender identity is actually a core factor. And this is one of the instincts where gender identity actually is a core factor in why this applies to women only in the way that we are encapsulating it. First of all, let's go back so we can go forward. Let's talk about traditional gender roles, right? Traditional gender roles, i.e. your great-great-grandparents. If you are woke and you didn't grow up in that household, good for you, okay? We're talking about traditional gender roles that are still being spoon-fed to us subconsciously. Now, in traditional gender roles, men equal, I'm gonna read from my notes because you guys know I always have notes. Men equal masculine, strong providers, right? And because men are supposed to be masculine, strong providers, a man being confident literally equates to safety. If I want someone to hunt and kill and bring home the bacon, he has to be masculine, he has to be strong, and he has to be a provider, right? And if he's gonna do all those things, he better be confident. So we've all been socialized, whether we realize it or not, to think that confidence in a man literally equates to safety. I need you to be safe so that I can be safe. As a leader, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as my plus one at dinner who's going to pull out my chair and stand on the outside of the road so that I don't get hit by a car, I need you to be safe. And your confidence is literally tethered to my safety. This goes for men with each other as well. A man will not respect a superior man, his boss, his employer, his business partner, unless that man exudes some sort of confidence. In a man, confidence is a necessity because confidence equates to providing. Makes sense, right? Now let's do gender wars. Why do I keep on saying gender wars? Maybe it's subconscious. Let's do gender roles for women. Women are supposed to be feminine, soft, nurturers. So in a woman, humility equals safety. See the difference? When a woman is humble, then she is ready to be of service so that she can be feminine, soft, and nurturing. So when it comes to women, humility equals safe. A woman who is kind, a woman who will make you a plate with a big piece of chicken, a woman who will ask you how your day is and did you eat, she is safe because softness requires you to be feminine and nurturing, right? That softness that equates to safety in women is tethered to humility. So think about this. If safety in men is tethered to confidence, and safety in women is tethered to softness and humility, what do you think we've all been subconsciously taught to think and feel about women who are confident? Confidence only equals safety for men because they provide and they're strong and they're masculine. And those are all things that require confidence. But how are you going to be confident and soft? How are you going to be confident and nurturing? How are you going to be confident and feminine? That confidence belongs to men. Who the fuck do you think you are? Subconsciously, the very things that y'all clap for in men, if that same man threw on a wig and convincingly told you he was a woman, you would suddenly think he was aggressive. You would suddenly think he was a bitch. And it wouldn't be because of his character. It'd be because of gender roles. I don't think we understand that all people, men and women and gender non-conforming people alike, have been tethered to and spoon-fed traditional gender roles even when you think you're woke. That's why when you meet a woman who's attractive and not being humble in her presentation of her attractiveness, you immediately think masculine, you immediately think bitch, you immediately think difficult. Now, why do women have to be humble in order to be considered safe? Because in traditional gender roles, humble women can be led easier and therefore won't put up a fight against the authority of the men who are supposed to lead them. Confident women used to be seen, actually not used to be still, confident women are seen as a threat to authority because authority only really belongs to men as a birthright. Authority belongs to men. So confident women are seen as insubordinate, automatically, even when they're being reasonable. Because how dare you act like an authority while not having a penis? Do you guys see where this is going? And why this topic is so relevant to the bias and the shockingly problematic things that we've heard said about Kamala Harris that have nothing to do with policy? Now, men who refuse to listen because they're the authority figures. I'm the confident provider. Why would I have to listen? Men who refuse to listen still find the audacity to tell women to be better listeners. Right? There's nobody who would tell you to listen quicker than a man who can't listen himself. That is the misogyny. Because I really do think that misogyny and racism and all the other isms are learning disabilities, right? It's impossible to have an ism and be steeped in an ism and not have your intellectual integrity compromised in some way. As an intellectual, a lot of the times, the isms don't work for me because they're stupid. It's not that they don't work for me because I'm black and a woman. They don't work for me because they're actually stupid, right? As someone who very heavily is tied to intellect and who needs logic to be the North Star in most things that I do, even in my spirituality, I'm more logic-based than most spiritual girls. As someone who is almost a slave to logic, the reason why I realized that a lot of the misogyny that we are dealing with is not working isn't because I'm a woman and I wanted to be woke. I was actually born into a very traditional Caribbean, West Indian, Latin American family, right? I was not raised to be woke. I was not raised to be a feminist. I was raised to be smart, though. And when the facts started saying misogyny was some bullshit, that's when I was like, ooh, I'm going to still give you the big piece of chicken. And some of that shit you said doesn't make sense, right? And so the thing is, because women are supposed to be feminine and soft and nurturing, when a woman is considered attractive and she's not humble about it, she is seen as a bitch by everybody, including other women. Now, I want you guys to understand that most women who are attractive in a bold way, I am not talking about the sexy librarian who puts her hair in a bun behind some glasses and playing small. Y'all love her. Y'all not hostile towards her. I'm talking about bitches who actually know their value. Why are attractive, dynamic women so intimidating? And also, why do they figure out how to survive in a way that is more appealing, right? Because a lot of you are going to be like, well, I know some amazingly gorgeous women who are finer than the biggest supermodel, and I'm not hostile around her. If you're not hostile around her, she's probably doing one of the 5 things I'm about to list. I'm about to list the 5 things that women consciously and subconsciously do to be less threatening when they realize that they're attractive or dynamic in a way that people find to be off-putting. Number 1, dynamic, i.e. attractive women tend to feign humility. They pretend to be humble. Me? I'm pretty. Bitch, you know you're pretty. Oh my God, I'm cute. I cute. A lot of attractive women will downplay how attractive they are. Like, look, I have a pimple. Because they want you to recognize that they know that they are no better than you because they already understand that you think they might think that they are better than you. Right? So a lot of attractive women are liars in the sense that they will people please pretending that they don't know that they're attractive. Number 2, they downplay their confidence. People love to say, oh my God, she's pretty, but she has no idea. She has no idea how amazing she is. Oh my God, she's the best person I know, and she has no idea. Why is that a flex? So you're saying that you're impressed that the most popping person you know lacks basic fucking self-awareness? This is where y'all be losing me. This is probably why I have a lot of friends. I think I would have even more friends if I wasn't this autistic. Because as someone who's neurodivergent and literally just thinks of things in the terms of data, why is it considered a flex that the prettiest, funniest, smartest person you know is also a dumb bitch? Like, why does that make you feel good? Somebody a couple months ago was like, Blue, you know, you're amazing, but you're not very down to earth. So you're upset that I see myself clearly. You think I'm amazing and you're upset that I agree? I need y'all to know I'm not feigning confusion. I will die being confused by this. I will die being confused by the fact that y'all love to think amazing people don't know they're amazing. What in you needs to think that I don't know I'm amazing? Because if you don't, then people think you think you're better than them. Exactly. So that's actually the real answer. The reason why people need to think that I don't know how smart and dynamic I am to find me likable, which I put no stake in. I put no stake in being likable. I'd rather you respect me than like me. Because liking me and not respecting me will not end well for you. Focus on respecting me. You can like me later. If you happen to like me, great. I'd rather you respect me. But the reason why people are so deeply offended when they realize that I understand how amazing I am is because in their mind, if they were amazing and knew it, they would be assholes. And because they know that if they had my skill set, my whatever that they attribute to me, they know that if they were me, they would be an asshole. They assume I must be an asshole too. They don't trust that I can know I'm fucking amazing and still not think I'm better than them. They don't trust it because they don't trust themselves. They know that all it takes is a fresh fucking haircut and a couple extra $100 in their fucking tax returns, and they think that they're the flyest person to ever live. So they're thinking, well, if I feel amazing and feel conceited and think I'm better than everybody over such basic metrics, there's no way in hell this abundant bitch doesn't think she's better than me. Now, if she was a dummy and was like, oh my God, I'm amazing, then maybe I could trust it. But there's no way this woman knows how dynamic she is, doesn't think she's ugly, has the nerve to think that she's allowed to pull niggas, and while doing that, is not judging me and my life that's in shambles. I'm not judging you, number one, because I have my own business to worry about. I think a lot of people who are shocked by how non-judgmental I am are giving me too much credit. It's not because I'm an amazing person, although I am, I think. It's because I have my own business. It's hard to judge other people when you got enough of your own business to take care of. I'm just busy, right? I think people don't understand. Part of being an emotional intelligence coach is I'm constantly teaching people self-mastery, right? Self-mastery, and this is part of what we learn in the class. That's the link is at the bottom. Register at 1to25.eventbrite.com. Self-mastery means you know how to mind your fucking business. As someone who literally for 15 years has been teaching classes on minding their business, guess why I'm not judging you? I'm just taking my own advice. I'm just minding my fucking business. So the number two thing that people do when they realize that they're an attractive woman and people hate them is they pretend like they don't know they're amazing. That's weird. The next thing is they disarm with humor, right? They crack jokes on themselves that are supposed to be disarming. Being funny and disarming with humor are two very different things. Being funny means life is funny, you funny, we all kick in and have a good time. But if you're someone who tries to disarm with humor, it's a little cringe. A perfect example of people who try to disarm with humor are Jenna, what's her name? There was a girl named, was it Jenna Elfman? In the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, there was a whole crop of blonde women who were conventionally attractive. I didn't find any of them attractive, to be honest, but they were conventionally attractive. By the way, guys, that's how you know when someone's conventionally attractive. If you see somebody who you don't personally find attractive, but you know you're supposed to find them attractive, and so you play along, that's conventionally attractive, right? And so in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a whole crop of really, really conventionally attractive blonde women who were goofy and annoying as fuck. I'm just gonna, like, they were just Jenna Elfman, Jenna McCarthy. It was a lot of Jennas, apparently. It was a bunch of blonde women who thought that they had to act like Dorcases in order to be disarming with their humor. So, not Jenna McCarthy, here we go. Jenna McCarthy and Jenna Elfman. Those were the two. Thank you, guys. And I remember being a young girl at that time going, she doesn't have to worry that, like, she's doing this because she thinks she's so pretty that she has to be a clown for us to not be intimidated. But she's not even that cute to me. And I wasn't saying that to be rude. It was like I knew instinctively back then, this woman is being a fucking clown because she wants to almost apologize for how fine she thinks she is. Whole time, she's not fine enough for that to be necessary. It was weird. It was a weird time, okay? And here's the thing. It still happens now. How many times do you see a baddie who is cute, but you can tell she's laying the goofiness on extra thick because she thinks she's extra fine, and she's worried about us mere mortals who couldn't take her fineness while she's just being a regular fucking person. There's something so conceited. I'm sorry. Even though it comes from insecurity, actually not even though, because it comes from insecurity, there's something so conceited about being convinced that you are just so fine that you have to pretend to be a clown for people to be able to stand you. I know you're doing it because you think you're being humble. You're about to see on this list, all these things that women who are attractive do to be humble are actually like glaring signs of covert conceit. Okay? Confident bitches don't do any of this. So if you do any of this, you're less confident than you think. Yeah, I said that. I meant that shit too. If you're new to this space, I say things I mean. So if you're confused about what I'm saying, I'll repeat it. I won't change it though, right? So disarming with humor. You have never in your entire life heard me say a fat joke. I will never be like, well, you know, us big bitches. What? What are you talking about? I'm popping. That's why when I was growing up, I hated Monique's comedy when I was growing up. I loved Monique, the comedian, but I used to hate her comedy because she'd be like, because, you know, these skinny bitches, nobody wants a bone. And I used to be like, if you liked yourself, why would they have to be skinny bitches? Why couldn't all bitches get niggas? Like, that don't sound right. I've never understood people who are plus size who say, well, you know, no man wants a bone. Girl, some niggas want bones. I know plenty size 00 friends who get niggas. I know plenty size 3X friends who get niggas. How did she get in this? Like, how is you being fine suddenly became an assault on her? My entire life, even before I was an emotional intelligence coach, I've always thought there was something bizarre and fraudulent about people who claim to be confident, but who need to put down others in order to do so. Right? And so if you are someone who's disarming with humor, and in that humor, you're disparaging other people, ooh, you might want to heal, friend. The next thing that people do, women do when they are very attractive and scared about being treated with hostility, they play stupid when they're superior. I can't tell you how many of my married friends have confessed to me over the last 2 decades that their husband has a fragile ego and that sometimes they pretend to be bad at things that they're really good at to preserve their marriage. I respect that, and not me. No. I'm good at too many things. I couldn't keep up. I'm sorry. That's not conceit. That is fact-based, okay? I'm good at a lot of things. There are things I'm good at that I don't even know I'm good at. A lot of it has to do with my brain functionality, right? If I had to sit around making a list of things I might be good at and pretend to be less good at to keep my nigga happy, we're not gonna make it. Huh? In fact, if you see my friends, because I always say that the men that I hang around with platonically are a reflection of the kind of men that I respect romantically. Because the reason why I have so many men around me is because when I start dating, I don't want to be like you thirsty people who are like, oh my God, I haven't been around a good man in 6 years. I'm so desperate. Because I'm around good men all the time, dating a good man does not shock my system. That's intentional, right? The men that I'm around are men who are like, no, Blue, more. Talk your shit, queen. Do more. You're holding back. Go bigger. Go harder. Every man that I'm cool with is very much, fuck it up, sis. And they also date women who are just like me. So I know that they're not fraudulent, right? My friend Carlos is always gassing me up and telling me to fuck shit up. He also does the same thing for his girlfriend. And he loves her because she's a bad bitch. And when she and I hang out, we're 2 bad bitches hanging out with him, right? More, fuck it up. So in a life that I've built for myself, where I'm surrounded by men who want me to be as abundant as humanly possible, there's no way in hell I'm gonna pretend that I'm bad at something to make you feel good. Is weird. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it because I don't have to. Like, respectfully, I don't have to, right? If I was somebody who, and some of you in here are about to catch a stray, if I was somebody in here who hasn't gotten dick in a long time, you ain't been around a good man so long, even your daddy is questionable, and you think some of these sprinkle girls might be onto something because niggas ain't shit but hoes and tricks, then yeah, you might have to do that. You might also have to examine, why did you co-create that existence? And are you ready for more? Right? If I was living in a world where there were no good men around, I could see me for the perspective of safety and not wanting to die alone, having to play small. Thank God I chose otherwise. And if you're watching this and you feel attacked, good. Be incited to do something different. But you get what you expect out of life, right? Anais Nin once famously said, you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. And so a lot of women who are dynamic and attractive and larger than life will sit around playing small and wonder why they get people who are also small. You were acting like them, so they think you're one of them, babe. Like, why are you shocked? When you ask for very little, you get even less. When you ask for the world, you get even more. It's the most counterintuitive thing I know. Playing humble will only create circumstances where you have to keep being humble. Popping your shit and backing it up will constantly create circumstances where you're allowed to pop your shit and are made to back it up. Ask me how I know. If you watch my stories, you already know the answer to that. I can't stand playing small for men with fragile egos. Honey, don't play small for anybody. Don't play small for your mama. This is the part where gender neutral. Don't play small for your homegirls. Don't play small for your frenemies. Don't play small for anybody, because here's the thing, guys. A lot of you will come in here and say, I won't play small for a man, and you're playing small for everybody who's not fucking you. At least he's giving you some. Don't play small for anybody. Because this video is about how everybody, men and women alike, are hostile or in awe of, or both, of women who are attractive and who hold space as if they're attractive. And the reason for that I stated earlier is because confidence is seen as a masculine birthright and as a liability to femininehood, right? If you want to be femininehood, I think I just made that up. Femininity, femalehood is what I was trying to say. If you want to be seen as feminine, you are not allowed to be confident and know it. You're supposed to be a little bit coquettish and playful, but it's always supposed to be in some sort of proximity to a man's approval or gaze. You just thinking you popping for yourself and not engaging anybody else in that internal dialogue is seen as rude, right? So don't play small for anybody, yourself included. And the last but the not least way that confident, attractive women play small in order for people not to be hostile is they decide to be of service to demonstrate their value. Now, this is the one where I catch a stray, right? Somebody said, femininehood, you're onto something. Thank you for that, love. A lot of women are taught to show their value through service, acts of service, in order to disarm people who would otherwise find them threatening. Now, this one's tricky for me. As a Taurus, with my Mars and Leo, I like to trick on people. I like nice shit. I want my friends to have nice shit. I want my nigga to have nice shit. I want my mama to have nice shit, right? If I order a black SUV to pick me up and you stand next to me, I'm gonna drop you off. Ask my friends, okay? I'm very much a Taurus in the sense that I like me some luxury. And because I like luxury and I'm an abundant bitch who knows that I can always create more abundance for myself, a lot of times when I am being generous out of free agency to someone, they mistake me for woman number 5. They think, oh, Blue's being nice to me because she's one of those insecure girls who has to be there for everybody as a way of showing their value. No, nigga, I just like to trick on people. What? No, that's not why I was doing that shit to you. I got you a bottle of champagne because I got me a bottle of champagne. I thought we were popping bottles. I cannot tell you how many times in the last 6 months alone, it's come to my attention that people I was being generous to did not peep that I was a bougie bitch and thought I was doing it out of insecurity. And then the first time I said, nah, I'm not doing that today. I don't feel like it. Because I only do it when I feel like it. And I don't feel like it today. They all look shocked. Like, wait, this bitch knows how to say no? I always know how to say no. What are you talking about? So I need you to understand, one of the easiest ways that people mistake me for an insecure person when the whole time I was just living my best life is we've always taught ourselves that women are supposed to be generous from a place of insecurity. And I need you to understand this, guys. If you are an attractive woman, and again, I'm going to keep repeating this for the people who are coming in or unfamiliar with this, an attractive woman isn't just a baddie. An attractive woman isn't just someone who has a BBL body and could be on the Kardashians. An attractive woman is a woman who is pleasing to the senses. And as somebody who, on many occasions, have broken bread with men who I knew I wasn't their type, and so I thought immediately I was friend zoned, and then 6 months later we're fucking, I'm like, well, how did this happen? It's because I was attractive to him despite me not being his type, right? And the thing about being a woman who knows how to be attractive in a way that's more dynamic than just appearance is that when you are attractive, you have to recognize that not everybody who fucks with you is doing so because they appreciate you. Some of them are doing it because they want to humble you. Perfect example. I have a friend, I won't name him, who I adore. He is the most chivalrous, kind man that I have ever dated, but it didn't work out. We just didn't work out because of his travel schedule. He travels internationally. He lives in Dubai. So that's very, very far. I was like, I can do long distance relationships. I'm used to them. Dubai is different, right? So him living in Dubai is the reason that we didn't end up together. And I'm not his usual type, but I could tell our chemistry, and he's not my usual type either, but our chemistry was like really electric. And one day I was talking to one of his friends about how amazing and chivalrous he was. And his friend froze, like, he did what now? I was like, yeah, he did this, that, and the other. And his friend was like, no, that doesn't sound like him at all. I was like, what do you mean? And his friend went on to tell me that he tends to talk down to women. He tends to be very misogynistic. He tends to be very judgmental. Listed all these things that I have never seen in this man. I've never seen in this man. And so I called him because y'all know I'm a straight shooter. I called him and I said, is this you? Because so-and-so told me a story about how you handled some girl at the club, and that don't sound like the you that I knew when we were dating. And he, because we're friends now, we had a very courageous conversation. He explained to me, he said, Blue, I've evolved, right? The friend that you were talking to, he's talking about the old days. I'm a little bit salty at him because it feels like he's dirty macking. You know when you're talking to a guy and his friend might kind of be interested, so he starts telling secrets? It might have been one of those situations. But he did confess something that really stuck with me. He said that right before we met, he was that person, right? And when we were dating, he did something that he does to all women who come at him way too confident. He says most women who are confident are actually low-key crazy on the back end. They're pretending to be confident. They're watching all these reality shows and pretending to be confident. But when you start talking to them, they're mentally unstable. They're toxic. They're X, Y, and Z. And as a man, and he makes no excuses for this. As a man, the first thing he does when he meets a woman who seems overtly confident is he tries to humble her. He tries to humble her so that the bullshit can stop and the real her can emerge. He said when we started dating, he tried it, and not only did it not work, I started laughing. And I remember in my mind, during our first couple of dates, we were having these fun, sexy debates, and we were laughing, and sometimes he would say something that was interesting, like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And sometimes I would say something interesting, and he would get quiet and be like, yo, I never thought of it that way. In my mind, we're having sexy banter. I had no idea that this man who was dating me was trying to humble me, and that I was just so sincerely confident that he was just failing because there was nothing to humble. And I said, now, hold on, wait. All those fun debates that we had over dinner, that was you trying to humble me? He was like, yeah. And what struck me was you didn't take it personal and you didn't get nasty with me. He said when he tried to humble me by giving me opposing views and saying things that would have triggered an unhealed woman, rather than me getting defensive and fighting, I would pause and listen. Sometimes I would agree. Sometimes I wouldn't agree, but I wasn't combative. He could tell that I sincerely was just curious if he had something to teach me. He was like, in that moment, I recognized you couldn't be humbled because you actually were confident. And then he said, I also recognize that I can't date a confident woman. And seeing the girls that he's dated since, I agree with him, right? He was like, I'm used to women who are pretending to be confident who can be broken. A woman who's not pretending, I don't know how to deal with that yet, right? Because if she's not pretending to be confident, and if she's not secretly broken, that means when she gives me feedback, it's real in the way that it's real if my boys give me feedback. If she rejects me, that's also real. I can't say we didn't work because she was a whore. I can't say we didn't work because she was crazy. I can't say we didn't work because she was toxic. I would have to be able to say we didn't work because maybe it was me. And as a man, I haven't confronted that yet. And during this conversation, which is why, guys, I love that I have masculine energy around me that's willing to keep it a buck. Because the men around me are so introspective that they gift me these insights that I'm not having to hypothesize. It's coming out of their own mouths, right? And I will say this, guys. one of the things that I would recommend women who are dynamic or have big personalities who naturally elicit strong reactions from men and other women is don't focus on being bitter. Don't focus on saying, oh, because I'm pretty or because I'm smart or because I'm popular, everybody's going to not like me. Don't do that, because self-fulfilling prophecies are a thing. Instead, you have to recognize people are triggered because they feel unsafe. It is not your job to be someone's therapist or make up for their fucked up childhood or for their ex-girlfriend who got pregnant by their best friend. It's not your job to heal that. It is reasonable, though, for you to recognize if you're being hostile or trying to humble me because you feel unsafe, how do I make us both feel safe in this situation within reason? Right? Because if you listen to the story I just told you, this man is used to women who are lying to him, which makes him feel unsafe. Can we all admit that men need to feel safe too? He's used to women who are lying to him because of his money. He has a lot of money, right? And because he knows women lie to him, or people lie to him, men and women alike, because men can be groupies too. Let's be a buck. If you've ever seen a basketball game, men are the biggest groupies that's outside of basketball games. Because he's used to men and women being groupies towards him because of his money, he feels unsafe connecting with people unless he vets them to make sure that their true intentions are being revealed. Now, he's toxically, because he didn't take my class, the toxic way that he vets people is by trying to humble them. And when he's trying to humble them to make himself feel safe, they then feel unsafe, and then it becomes combative. Now, one person trying to feel safe has turned into two unsafe people having an argument over dinner. That is what he's used to. Instead, he ended up going on a date with the emotional intelligence coach. And I'm thinking we're having a fun debate. Mind you, all this is going right past my head. I'm thinking I'm having a dinner with a sexy man who is going to treat me right and might even cover the tab for once. I don't have to go fucking Dutch. And that we're having great, rigorous conversation about politics and economics and gender wars and all types of fun topics, right? Me being the nerd that I am, I had no clue that I was being tested. I also had no clue that I passed the test, so much so that I tested out of that grade, right? He was hoping for, in that moment, to meet a woman who was confident enough to not be humbled. And instead, he met a woman who was so confident that she unintentionally revealed his own insecurities. He was like, the reason why I value our friendship is being friends with you is showing me what it's like to hold space with a woman who actually is confident. And I thought about that. Now, one of the things we talk about in class, and for those of you who are coming in, this whole free game that I'm doing is always a precursor to the 8-week emotional intelligence class I take. I want to shout out all the men, by the way, who've been coming to my class. Shout out to my friend Carlos, my friend Kendall, my friend Brian Javar took the class. You guys saw me at his Halloween party a couple weeks ago. There are some really amazing, dynamic men who are taking the class. And one of the reasons why I love it when men take the class is there are so many subconscious ways that men are brainwashed against their own best interest and then told to hide behind their pride. And a lot of women who they share space with are not equipped to support them in that way, right? And so I always tell a story about my attendee, Angela. Angela, if you're watching this, you know I love you. Angela took the class, and when I asked her why, like, oh, why'd you take the class? She said, my husband made me. My husband took the class. You made him feel safe. And I didn't know how to do it. So he's like, go talk to the lady and take the class, right? And so I need you guys to understand that when I'm talking about why attractive, dynamic women create hostility in people, it steeps from a place of insecurity. The reason why men and women alike are so in awe of or hostile towards very attractive women is because a woman being attractive and confident and taking up space without making an apology is unnatural. It is unnatural in the traditional gender roles. I keep on saying gender wars. In the traditional gender roles, it is unnatural for a woman to traverse masculine and feminine energy and still be feminine. We assume that any woman who is confident, who is free thinking, who has strong opinions, does not know how to keep a man safe. And so when a man is trying to humble you, in that moment he's saying, I feel insecure. I am scared. I am scared that the way that you show up will reveal my insecurities. Oh, it's so funny. Kendall, I must have called you in. I just literally gave Kendall a shout out for taking the emotional intelligence class, and then he comes in. Hi, Estelle. Kendall's in here. Estelle's in here. I love that so many of my friends are coming in here. And you guys, today we're talking about how strong feminine energy triggers everybody, other women included. And the reason why I'm having this conversation with you guys around why strong feminine energy is incredibly triggering to every fucking body. Men, women, gay men, gay women, we are all feel assaulted, but we are around a strong, confident woman. You know why? Because most confident feminine archetypes that we see are toxic. Just like most confident masculine archetypes we see are toxic. But at least when a man is being toxic, confidence is considered a masculine trait. So he's being toxic, but at least that confidence is at home, right? At least it's where it belongs. But when you see a confident woman, you're like, she's toxic, and subconsciously you're thinking, this is also fucking unnatural. Now, for those of you who are like, Blue, that's not true. Yes, it is, because you guys know I love me a study. A bitch loves to look up studies and research. Attractive women who want to be liked have to be agreeable. There have been so many studies that have shown, so many researchers, anthropologists who have shown through so much quantitative data that when a woman is dynamic and takes up space, I'm saying dynamic because some women are very dynamic, even if they're not as fly as women next to them. And some women are super, super pretty, but have no dynamic energy, right? We all know really gorgeous women who have no fucking sauce. And then you know a girl who's cute, a 6.5, a 7 maybe, but that bitch is popping. So I'm saying dynamic because I want you to think about attractive in real life, not attractive as a concept. So because attractive women have to be agreeable in order for your insecurities not to be triggered, guess who triggers people the most? The group that we call vixens. Now for somebody who doesn't know what a vixen is, I'm going to read the definition the same way I read it what attractive meant earlier. A vixen is somebody who is a shrew. I'm going to explain to you what a shrew is if you don't know old terms. It's somebody who is ill-tempered, treacherous, heartless, speaks out freely, and refuses to be abused. You guys, I'm not making that up. The definition for a vixen, which is a whore, the definition for a vixen is a woman who has her own ideas and refuses to be abused. Look it up. I literally looked it up to confirm before I came on here. Misogyny doesn't just hurt women, it hurts men. I say this at least once every live. When I'm speaking out against misogyny, I'm also looking out for my brothers. If you are a man who feels like you cannot share your vulnerable feelings without being clowned and having your masculinity questioned, that's misogyny. Because guess who told us that men aren't allowed to feel? It wasn't women. Patriarchy tells us that men are not allowed to have feelings. Patriarchy tells us that men are not allowed to be insecure. Patriarchy tells us that men are not allowed to be broke. Patriarchy tells us that men are not allowed to be scared. Patriarchy tells us that men are not allowed to be the little spoon. As a big-breasted, cuddly, good-smelling black woman, do you know how many men want to be the little spoon at some point in our relationship? And like, don't tell nobody, you know, I like being held. If you know any woman who's worth her damn and nurturing people that she loves, she has held a man to her bosom who looks big and strong and scary in public, right? And so be very, very clear. When I speak out against patriarchy and misogyny, please do not conflate misogyny with man. In fact, if you think misogyny equates to man, I feel bad for the kind of men that you're around, right? If you think misogyny equates to man, then I feel really, really sad for you because that means that your view of masculinity is flattened and therefore deeply compromised. And because misogyny, we can now agree, hurts all of us, we have a shared interest, right? We have a shared enemy. And the shared enemy, the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because next week, all of this is going to come into play. Actually, for me, 'cause I'm voting tomorrow. Next week, people who have been taught to have ire and disdain for attractive, intelligent women who have confidence are going to be asked to vote for one next Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, tomorrow, because the day of the election is the last day to vote, not the only day to vote, right? The reason why I'm bringing this up is, and I feel so bad for so many of you, there are people right now who cannot stand Kamala Harris, and it's not about her policies, and they don't know why. They don't recognize how much they've been conditioned and groomed to be disgusted by women who take up space without apologizing. They don't know why they see strong and confident next to feminine as unsafe, right? Because they're thinking about all the ways where confident women are unsafe, like mammies, right? Like that overbearing mother who has anxiety that she projects on you. That helicopter mom who tells you you're not good enough, right? That busting man hater, and women hater, because there's a lot of women out there who hate women too, right? Who hates everybody who's bitter. We equate a woman being confident with her being miserable, with being a shrew. I literally told you, I read the definition of a vixen. A vixen is a shrew, and a shrew is a disagreeable, hot-headed, ill-tempered woman. We think that if a woman is confident, she must be a bitch, right? We think if a woman is not agreeable, she must be a bitch. And yet I cannot tell you how many times I've had my mother tell me when I was a child, baby, if you were a man, you could be president. Your personality would be so amazing if you were a man, but you're a woman. So I'm concerned. I've had a couple of guys confess to me, you're a better guy friend to me than some of my guy friends, right? And so we need to understand that confidence equates. I'm going to read this back for those of you who came in late when we're talking about traditional gender wars. When it comes to men in traditional roles, men equals masculine, masculine equals strong, strong equals provider, which means that a man in a traditional sense is supposed to be confident because you have to be confident to provide. Conversely, woman equals feminine, feminine equals soft, soft equals nurturer. So in a nurturer, you want somebody who's malleable and soft and humble. So the reason why we are so deeply offended by non-humble women is because we've been taught that it's unnatural for women to be confident. We've been taught that only belongs to men. And now we're about to put the fate in the entire country in the hands of someone who a bunch of you think is unnatural in that position. Do you see why patriarchy and misogyny is dangerous for all of us? If this woman doesn't win, and the policies that I've heard about, seen, and researched actually get pushed through, we're all going to pay for it. Men, women, and gender nonconforming alike. And so when I see a black man, not a vocal minority, because most black men I know are actually voting for Kamala, to be honest. But when I see that vocal minority saying, what's she doing for us? We're the most, But you're voting for Trump, though? Who says Haitians eat cats and Baltimore is the slums and who's anti-black as fuck? You rather go with a masculine white supremacist than a sedity black woman. And let's be clear, guys. This is something that's very interesting. Remember how I was speaking earlier about how pretty privilege only works when it benefits other people, right? People only benefit from pretty privilege when you being pretty or attractive or dynamic makes them look good, right? Oh, my girlfriend is fly as fuck. That's pretty privilege because I look good next to a fly bitch. But suddenly, if that fine, fly girl is confident in having a debate with you over dinner about how you ever fucked up, suddenly now it's a problem, right? Now, the place where I think that's the most prevalent for me was when it came to the vice president choice. Guess who I heard for a very long time from some sources that were actually very, very on point, was supposed to be up for vice president, in addition to Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams and Kamala Harris were both being courted, allegedly. As a journalist, I'll be responsible and say allegedly. Allegedly, Stacey Abrams, the same Stacey Abrams who saved the Democratic Party twice during an election that she wasn't allowed to be a part of, right? She wasn't on the ticket. The black woman who single-handedly saved us in pivotal ways, in places where it mattered the most, was up for vice president. And guess what the rumor, I'll say that, I'll be nice. The rumor was the reason why Kamala was chosen was, even though they're both very, 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 very qualified, the focus groups like Kamala better because of pretty privilege. When Kamala was trying to stand next to a man, it worked, right? When Kamala wanted to be vice president and stand next to a man and make him look good, pretty privilege got her chosen. In addition to other things, I'm not going to be disparaging, right? It was a factor, though. If you look at Kamala Harris versus Stacey Abrams, what do we talk about, right? There's somebody out there who thinks Stacey Abrams is the most beautiful woman in the world. Conventional attractiveness, though, says Kamala is the pretty one, right? Because you have to know the difference between being conventionally attractive and being attractive in the eyes of God and your man. So Kamala, when she was going to be standing next to a man, her pretty privilege was a privilege. But now that Kamala is about to replace a man, now it's a liability. Y'all see how that works? Pretty privilege only works in service to others. If you being fine, sexy, all the things that Kamala's being called a whore for now that she's running for president, made her look good to the focus group when she was running for vice president. So I need you to understand the reason why this election is going to reveal so much about all the men and women around you. Watch how people talk about her. Is that now that she's not standing next to a man, but instead going to replace one and combat one, now every little misogynistic thought that might have been latent in your favorite rapper, your favorite old school actor, we're seeing even fucking Dr. Phil, right? Niggas who knew to keep their mouth shut are being triggered. Why? And I call this the fuck you sundress syndrome. Fuck you sundress. Every woman in this world knows what fuck you sundress is, right? When you are walking around in sundress, your titties look perky, your booty is jumping in your little thing, you look cute as fuck, you smell good, you just washed your hair, you're like, oh, I'm it. I look fertile. This is amazing. And a guy tries to talk to you, right? A guy tries to talk to you. And you say, no, I have a boyfriend. And suddenly the same man who thought you were the most beautiful woman on the block, is now looking at you saying, fuck you, sundress, you're not even fine anyways, right? People have a adverse reaction to attractive women on a one-on-one setting, because in that moment where you're not making me look good, somebody said, not look fertile. Yeah, I was told recently that when I'm glowing, I look fertile. Child, men say the darndest things when they're trying to compliment you. But the fuck you sundress thing is, a lot of people associate attractive women with rejection, right? They also associate smart women with rejection. I can't tell you how many men I've dated who thought that because I was smart that I must be unkind. It's so sad to me that we think all the things that are beautiful in men, we can't clap for in women. And conversely, all the things that we think are amazing in women, we don't clap for in men either. It goes both ways. And so because Kamala is going to be in a space now where she's going to be in charge, I promise you, right? All those old rappers and actors who are speaking out now against her. Back in the 90s, you know, when y'all were calling her a whore for being arm candy to two men that she dated, because we all date people. In the 90s, Kamala was supposed to be arm candy. What did we say earlier on the list of 5 things that attractive women have to do not to be get hostility? They have to be of service. They have to show value. They have to be humble, right? When Kamala and her fresh blowouts saying ski-wee and whatever else from her AKA homegirls, looking cute, skin on, moisturized, wearing her red lip, whatnot, standing next to Montel Williams and whoever else that she was dating, when she was arm candy, in their mind, she was supposed to be a trophy. She's the attractive. And also men love it when they pull an attractive lawyer. Ooh, you know, she's a pretty lawyer and she's, you know, black and Asian and X, Y, and Z. But, you know, she called out my name last week. Men love women like Kamala when it's time to objectify them because that benefits them, right? There's a lot of men who will not admit this to themselves. The idea that the fine prosecutor bitch from the 90s who they would have smashed had they had a chance now might be in charge. It feels emasculating to those who are fragile, right? Men who are fragile get very easily emasculated. And women who pander to fragile men are very quick to be pick-me's. And so there are women out there who, in the same way the men see Kamala as fuck you sundress, like, oh, who does she think she is? The women who were not in the sundress, who couldn't compete with the Kamalas of the world, are like, so she thinks because she cute and she mixed, she's just gonna come in here and be fucking president? This all sounds like insecurity masquerading as political leanings. This woman has triggered y'all in a way that is delicious for me to watch as a social anthropologist. Y'all are big mad and ain't got shit to do with that $1,600 check that Nancy Pelosi got y'all that y'all thought Trump got y'all just because he signed his name at the bottom. Ain't got nothing to do with that check. A lot of y'all are triggered that an attractive sadiddy, AKA with a fresh blowout and a white husband, the exact bitch that would have played Terry in Soul Food, the rich auntie that you all said was never going to make it, might make it higher than any man in the land. Right? Because one of the things that showed up in that video that I'm referencing is people love to find someone who is strong and confident in a feminine body and find a chink in the armor. Y'all are mad, right? And here's one thing I will say before I go, because this is meant to be informative and to inspire you guys to look into your internal bias. And by the way, shout out to the men who are listening to this, who recognize their brothers, but who have done the work and who this does not apply to. I need you to take what we're talking about today and go have this conversation in the barbershops. Say, hey, Leroy, you keep talking about how you love Trump and Kamala's a bitch, but why does she look like your baby mama? Or why does she look like that girl who curved you in high school? You think there might be a little bit of a subconscious. And let's be clear, guys, if you've ever met somebody who reminded you of somebody you couldn't stand, and so irrationally you were cautious around them and couldn't stand them either, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. There's no human being who's immune to this. We all know somebody who reminds us of somebody that we don't fuck with. And because of that, we don't fuck with them either. Right? So please do not act as if you do not know that in the black community in particular, with the OG niggas, sadiddy girls like Kamala, they would be proud when they would take them down. Right? Oh, she's not so sadiddy now, huh? I had her screaming my name. People who subscribe to that kind of misogyny are getting their asses whooped right now, dealing with the fact that they're going to have to vote for her or the devil. It's fucking with them. And I also want you guys to recognize that when she becomes president, I'm going to speak it into existence. Us who say no, Blue, as a man, I've learned, like my friend Carlos loves having strong women around him. It's one of my favorite things about him. As a man, I love strong women. Or no, Blue, as a woman, I love confident women. Because one of the things that they said in that clip was, only insecure people feel hostile around attractive women. Secure people, confident people, either feel nothing because they're minding their own fucking business and they have their own shit to worry about, or they're congratulating them because they understand what it's like to be popping, right? A confident person, none of this applies to you if you're confident and securely attached. If any of this applies to you, you are not securely attached, please take the class. You're not securely attached, okay? And so a securely attached person has nothing to do with this conversation we're having. But guess what? Securely attached people are the minority. Most people in this world are insecurely attached. So I'm speaking to about 85% of the population right now when I say this. Be very, very clear that when she wins, that you don't go from saying, oh my God, I believe in her, to doing something else, which is what I call the mule. We love to try to humble strong, attractive black women. We try to humble strong, attractive women in general, but particularly those who have any proximity to blackness. But if they do have proximity to blackness, guess what we try to do after we can't humble them? We turn them into mules. We turn them into mules. Bridget and I were doing an episode of our podcast. For those of you who have not joined the podcast, it's patreon.com/everythingisfine_. It's called Everything is Fine. And we were talking about Kamala was supposed to go on Joe Rogan. But Joe Rogan wanted her to come to Austin. And Kamala, for safety and other factors, she's still the vice president, was like, no, you're going to have to come to me. And I can't do 3 hours. I can only do 1 hour because I'm doing a whole bunch of things. He said, nah, I didn't want to agree to that. So we didn't do the interview. And Bridget was like, you know, it's a shame that Kamala didn't do the Joe Rogan interview. And I said, you know what? Joe Rogan refusing to leave Austin to interview the vice president of the United States, who might be making history as the first black and Asian female president. That right there tells me it's a good thing the interview didn't happen, because I'm concerned about her safety. And before I started talking, I could hear people in the room like, you know, but Kamala can take it, because here's the thing. Whenever you talk about a strong woman, whenever you talk about a confident woman, nobody gives a fuck about her safety because she's not weak, right? Y'all only care about the safety of fragile bitches. Y'all only care about the safety of ain't shit bitches. Y'all only care about the safety of professional victims. Y'all only care about the safety of those who are broken, right? You only protect the broken. Y'all love to bond over brokenness. That's why, as a wholehearted, securely attached, sincerely confident woman, I know I'm not a sympathetic character. You guys always forget to show compassion to women who are whole. And as a result, strong women tend to be treated like mules. And questions that we would ask for any other type of woman don't get asked of them. If Elizabeth Warren, sweet old white woman from Massachusetts, my home state, was running for president, and she was going to see Joe Rogan, we'd be like, oh, okay, this sweet old white lady, Joe Rogan's a little spicy. Let's make sure she's okay, right? Right? Can we be honest? If Elizabeth Warren was running for president and actually had a chance in hell of winning, and Joe Rogan wanted her to come to Austin and have a 3-hour showdown, y'all be like, oh man, is Elizabeth going to be okay? right? But because it's a confident Black and Asian woman with a Glock, nobody's giving a second fucking thought about her safety. Why is that? This is why I keep on saying a mule. A mule is a donkey that carts things that are heavy on its back. That's a mule. A mule is a donkey. You guys treat women who are Black or have proximity to Blackness like they're whores, mammies, or mules, right? As a Black woman who's very sex positive, y'all don't see the clips about me talking about the mindset of wetness and how when I date and when I talk to men that I'm attracted to, I always make sure to be supple. I do not believe in being a strong Black woman because numerous studies have shown that the perception of women, Black women being strong is literally killing us. When we go to the hospital, we don't get the same level of tests. We don't get the same compassion. We don't get the same bedside manner as other women because we're seen as mules. We're seen as strong donkeys who don't need compassion. We literally drop dead at higher rates at hospitals because we're seen as so strong. When it comes to dating men, men will watch a white girl call him a nigga and every name in the book, and she's just a little bit, fun. She's just a crazy white girl. She got white girl wasted. Or he'll watch a Latina woman who is more racially ambiguous than I, as an Afro-Latina. Oh, she's just spicy. But the minute the Black one does it, she's a bitch, right? So when it comes to social economics, when it comes to medical care, when it comes to interpersonal relationship, in every facet known to man, it has been proven by research that the perception of strength that is attached to Black men is costing us our lives and our dignity. So I am not a strong Black woman. I am a supple Black woman. Be nice to me. Talk to me nice. Rub my booty. Tell me I'm pretty, okay? All that alpha woman shit, I don't want no part of it. I want to live to be 100. An alpha woman is not going to live to be 100, okay? It's just not going to happen. So for my own best interest, I do not identify as a strong Black woman. But running for president, Kamala has to. So here she has the task of dealing with those of you who have internalized subconscious bias against women being confident to get her elected. And when she overcomes that, when you finally do believe that her confidence is deserving of her, now you're going to weaponize that same confidence against her to turn her into a mule. Do you see what a thankless fucking job it is to be an attractive, dynamic Black woman? It's thankless. And y'all wonder why we go on vacations and get our nails done and shit? So, when Kamala wins, I'm just begging y'all that those of you who believe in her don't go to the other extreme of those who are not believing in her and unintentionally turn her into a mule. Running for president and being president as a woman is not the same fucking thing as running for president and being president as a man. Kamala's journey, Hillary Clinton's journey is not the same thing as Barack Obama. We all know there are different rules. Anybody who loves hip hop, who's ever learned anything about the genre of hip hop, will tell you that every record label under the sun will tell you it's cheaper to roll out a male artist than a female artist. Why? A male artist could be in a wife beater and some saggy jeans and a backwards cap and have a fucking platinum hit. They can't even let her out the gate unless she gets some lipo, a new lace front, and her teeth fixed. Right? Male acts don't even have to get attractive until their third album if they don't want to, if ever. I can name several rappers who would never try to look clean. But a woman has to, because of the optics of femininity, she has to be pleasing. Remember what we said earlier? Attractive by definition means to be pleasing to the senses. So a woman running for president has to be attractive enough to stand next to a man. Stacey Abrams couldn't, unfortunately, right? She has to have enough pretty privilege to get her in the room, but not too much confidence to get her kicked out of the room. Do you understand how exhausting that is? That you have to be beautiful and funny and smart and sexy, but not too much. Not too much. Because then you'd be considered a shrew. And nobody wants to work with the shrew, right? So guys, when Kamala is on the ballot, I'm going to ask you to vote for her because it's literally her versus the devil. And when she wins, please remember that she's still a person and that her being a woman adds an extra layer of unsafe possibilities that have never existed in this office ever. As a matter of fact, not opinion. As a matter of sociological fact. It's a fact. So you saying you disagree is irrelevant. This is bigger than me, right? I need us to get out of the habit of disagreeing with facts just because we don't like what they reveal. All right, I'm going to read some of these comments. It's a shame Joe didn't take the opportunity. I agree. Someone said, yes, people don't believe in strong victims. Whenever somebody does something fucked up to me, I can see people like, but Blue, you? Who could victimize you? I'm a person. The fuck? Can you explain Mule? I just did that. Carrying heavy loads, they can do a lot. They can take it. Yep. Somebody in here wrote, literally hate going to the GP because I'm tired of begging. You guys don't understand. Black women in particular, we're going to talk about that another time. If this was Sarah fucking Palin, most of these men would be in her defense. Oh, absolutely. Michelle Obama was a lawyer who, with 2 children, who was happily married, did not have babies out of wedlock, was not on welfare, and was the height of respectability politics. And she got treated like a fucking mule. She got called a monkey, right? Meanwhile, Melania Trump literally did soft porn. And she is seen as the most beautiful first lady to ever live. Somebody who was showing off their wobbly bits. And mind you, I'm pro-sex work, so this is not about sex work. This is about being hypocritical. The same people who thought Michelle Obama was not fit to be first lady as the bastion of black respectability saw no problem with somebody with their titties out taking the same role right after her. That is why I need you guys to understand that being a woman is a layer, and being a black woman is another layer. Being a mixed race woman is another layer. And being incredibly intelligent is also a layer. Before we leave, I do want to say one thing. And I wanted to make this its own video, but because the election is next week, and I'm going to be traveling to New York to shoot some content with Bridget next week, so I'm not going to be around to do this. It's going to be a controversial take. Ooh, am I going to say this right now? Ooh! I was worried about saying this. Somebody said, wasn't the whole issue that her arms were out? The issue was that she was a black woman with her arms out, and people think that black women are men. Yeah, because Melania's had her arms out. Nobody said shit. I have is it controversial? It might be controversial, but it's also very factually sound, so I'm going to say it anyways. I, Blue Tulusma, think that Kamala Harris is the best version of black womanhood for us to have a fighting chance of there being a black woman president. I think if I took my own personal feelings out of this, and I was going back to my days of working in politics and working with strategy, because I did a lot of political strategizing back in the day. If I was looking at this from a vantage point of unemotional strategy, Kamala Harris is the most palatable iteration of black womanhood that we could possibly have run for president in this climate and possibly win. You're not going to like why, and it doesn't matter because the facts are the facts. Let's explain. When it comes to tribalism, which is the thing that the GOP is banking on, right? All tribalism is steeped in familiarity. As someone who is Haitian and Cuban, but who is regularly, like on a weekly basis now, mistaken for Nigerian, whenever I'm around a Nigerian person and they think I'm Igbo, there's an immediate shorthand in the way that they treat me. There's an immediate camaraderie. There's an immediate comfort. There's an immediate kindness that they get from me when they think I'm Igbo. And then when I have to break it to them, like, actually, I'm Latin American. Oyo, como va? Sac pase. They're like, wait, what? And by then they kind of like me, so they keep me around. But as somebody who has watched tribalism in that way, I will tell you that all tribalism is familiar equals safe. We were talking earlier about how this all comes down to safety. Men are hostile towards attractive women because they feel unsafe. They feel like she's going to reject him and break his heart in a way that he can't bounce back from. So he has to humble her, break her down, and reject her first. It's always about safety, guys. That's why I'm an emotional intelligence coach, because everything, when I worked in academia, it was always about safety. When I worked in politics, it was always about safety. When I worked in digital media, on my 4th career, guys, it was always about safety. And I was like, fuck, all of humankind comes down to niggas not feeling safe. And that's why emotional intelligence to me is such a game changer, right? And so be very, very mindful that we are not entering a space where we're not being honest that white folks don't like black people, not just because they're racist, because they're unfamiliar and feel unsafe. And so when you're in a landscape where Donald Trump has for almost a decade now, weaponized and fed the beast that is American tribalism. Proximity is what makes people feel safe. There are two main ways. You guys, for those of you who are taking notes, please write this down, because this is what I call the proximity theory. I was going to wait to do my own live about this, but I'm in the mood to just do it now. When it comes to safety, there are two main ways that Black people can make white people feel safe without even realizing it. The first and most exalted way is visual familiarity, right? Visual familiarity means you look a little bit like me. That's why mixed race Black people tend to be cast more heavily when it's a role for a Black person, because the white person's thinking, you Black, but you also a little bit of something else. So my anti-Blackness has somewhere to hide into something else, right? So when it comes to the theory of familiarity, the tribalism theory that I've been working on for quite a while now, I'm probably going to do my own video about this at some point. When it comes to the tribalism theory, visual familiarity is the very first and most compelling way. So her being a racially ambiguous Black woman, first checking her honor. Again, this is not about what's right or wrong, it's about the facts. The second way, now this is where some of y'all about to get your feelings hurt. Somebody said, Blue, I'm surprised that you keep calling Kamala Harris a Black woman and that you're not mentioning about her being half Asian and how that's compromised, and that as you as a racially non-ambiguous Black woman, why would you want her to represent you? Pause. There's a second way that non-racially ambiguous Black women benefit from the tribalism familiarity theory, and that's called educational familiarity. If you can't look like you have some white in you, you can be educated into sounding like you have some white in you. Can we keep it a stack? Raise your hand if you know the darkest Black woman on the planet, but she has straight hair, went to Harvard or Columbia, and talks like Marissa from Love is Blind. Yeah, we're going there today. We're fucking going there today. Educational proximity to whiteness, because in white supremacist thinking, being educated is not Black, it's white, right? Educational proximity to whiteness is the second most compelling thing next to visual proximity. So, as a very educated Black woman who learned about emotional intelligence while working at, I didn't go to Harvard, I worked at Harvard, while working at the Harvard School of Public Health, the minute I open my mouth, people are like, well, this bitch is clearly from New England, right? I have educational privilege. I'm standing right behind Kamala in line. So how the fuck would I look talking shit about her privilege when I'm standing right behind her? I'm not enough of a hypocrite. I can't tell you how many white folks really, really like me, and I know why. I know why. In fact, I would even say that they take turns. Visual proximity will always be king. But educational proximity, if you are emotionally intelligent and charming and cute enough, is a very close second. I can't tell you how many times I've met a very biracial looking, racially ambiguous hood rat, and I open my mouth, and guess who's the token? Me. There have been times that I've been chosen as the white token over a biracial, racially ambiguous person. And y'all know y'all do that shit. Every dark-skinned Black woman with an education, y'all know we're second in fucking line. So I think it's real fucking funny that we're playing these games about Kamala's privilege when we are in the same fucking queue. I would be a hypocrite to talk about Kamala Harris benefiting from privilege, talking the way that I talk, with the education that I have, with all the basic that I have in my voice, in the rooms that I'm in every day. Come on, okay? So the reason why I call Kamala Harris a Black woman, because the same people who are trying to use her racial ambiguity to take away her Blackness, that's only 5 minutes away to getting to me. It's not in my best interest to play them kind of fucking reindeer games that I'm playing too. Those are the two most compelling ways. But guess what is the third? Oh, I might have made some of y'all mad. The third least compelling way to appeal to tribalism is celebrity or notoriety. But check it. Because celebrity and notoriety are fleeting, they need a co-signer from the first group, right? So if you are a celebrity, which is the least compelling but it's still compelling way to appeal to tribalism, which is why Amber Rose got invited to the Trump convention, because she has celebrity. You need a co-signer. Amber Rose works for Trump because she's a celebrity, which is fleeting, and she's also racially ambiguous. Well, some of you are saying, well, Blue, what about, these NFL players and these rappers and X, Y, and Z? You guys, the system was built, white supremacy was built, oppression was built on the premise that the two things you need to be superior is male and white. If you are a man, you already have a cosigner. You don't need to be educated or have a proximity to whiteness. You're already a man. You were already halfway to white supremacy anyways. This is the thing that a lot of men hate when I mention that white supremacy is made to be for white men, and being a black man means you're halfway there. That's why black men and white men have so much beef. That's why white women and white men have so much beef, because white women are half of the equation. White women are white. They're women, but they're still white. They have half. Black men have half. They're black, but they're still men. Black women and white men, black men and white women are always, always, always fighting for second place in white supremacy. Black women are nowhere on the list. We are at the bottom next to the trans girls, child. We ain't got a dog in this fucking fight. We're nowhere near, right? So if you have a cosigner, which is either being racially ambiguous, being educated into the perception of whiteness, or being a man, being a celebrity is the third way for tribalism to appeal to you. That's why when you're looking at tribalism, dark-skinned black men who have celebrity, racially ambiguous women who have celebrity, are often brought into the fray because they are appealing to the third ring. You don't look like me all the way. You don't sound like me all the way, but you definitely have enough followers. I know that if I mention your name on TikTok, it's going to go viral. Tribalism has three rings: visual proximity, educational proximity, and celebrity. And that's in order of strength, right? That's why Sexy Red has celebrity, but she does not have the educational or racial ambiguity aspects. So that's why Sexy Red is not a compelling person for the Republican Party, right? They can use her in shades, but she's not as compelling. However, using this theory that I vetted for a very long time, Lotto, had she been stupid enough to do what Sexy Red did, would have been a lot more compelling. If racially ambiguous Mariah Carey looking ass Lotto, with her visual proximity to whiteness, had decided to leverage her celebrity to work with Trump, she would have gotten Amber Rose out of a job. Right? So when you understand how tribalism works, and that visual proximity followed by educational proximity followed by notoriety and or celebrity are the only things that appeal to tribalism, then suddenly you have to say, wait, Kamala Harris is a racially ambiguous, highly educated black woman from Hollywood who already has celebrity status and was seen in fucking videos tracing back to Little Kim's court case. Kamala Harris is literally all fucking three. So if we take feelings out of it and think purely, that's why people call me Olivia Nope, by the way. If we take feelings out of it and think purely on a strategic level, Kamala Harris in modern day America is literally our best fucking chance to get a woman, let alone a woman of color, into the White House, whether you like it or not. I didn't create the rules, I just study them. So for those of you who are like, why is it her? Child, thank God it's her. She's the only reason we have a fighting fucking chance right now. Right? All those white people, all those conservatives who are anti-black despite being black themselves, all those white Cubans, shout out to my countrymen who disappoint me every day with this shit in Florida, all these people who are subscribing to tribalism, when she wins, are going to dislike her and will still find her more palatable than Stacey Abrams. They'll still find her more palatable than a racially non-ambiguous, non-celebrated, frumpy, but highly, 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 highly qualified black woman. They will. I hate to say that, and I have to say that. She is literally our best fucking chance. Do y'all want to live in a perfect world and cry about colorism and racism and sexism, or do you want her to win? Or do y'all want him to win because we all decided to vote third party and thought that we could dismantle the system with only 30 days notice? And for those who are like, well, Blue, that's always the argument that, we don't have time. When are we going to have time? The time is the day after the election. The day after an election is when you start talking about third party, because then you have 4 years to plan for it. But when we're 6 months out, 2 months out, girl, that's not how strategy works. Again, I'm not speaking as Blue as a human being. I'm speaking as Blue as a strategist. Strategically speaking, it had to be Kamala, right? Strategically speaking, as much as it broke my heart when Stacey Abrams, who I fucking adore, and almost had an opportunity to work with, that's a whole other story for another time. When it was up between Stacey Abrams and Kamala, for anybody who wanted us to have a chance of getting a black woman in the room, they weren't ready for Stacey. They wouldn't have been ready for me, right? And so please recognize that your vote counts, your vote matters, and that you cannot say that you are fiscally conservative and socially liberal. That no longer works. It's between a biracial black woman who is heavily qualified and not scared of people and carries a Glock versus the physical incarnation of the devil. Okay? And one last term, for those of you who like it when I share my nerdy research, look up the term malignant narcissism. Malignant narcissism is an umbrella term for a cocktail of psychosis that is so heavy-handed, it's 4 different mental health issues under one moniker. Why am I mentioning malignant narcissism? Donald Trump has the markers of a malignant narcissist. One of the most dangerous forms of narcissism, our former president, who's trying to be our next president, shows several of the markers. I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just sharing some information. Right? Y'all be crying about narcissism. Y'all be crying about narcissists. A malignant narcissist is narcissism on steroids. That's who y'all want to vote for president. And here's the thing. America is a narcissist. Right? We created Donald Trump. We created this mess. So it's our job to get ourselves out of it. Donald Trump is inevitable in a world where capitalism and optics and being confident and swaggy over being educated are the rule of the land. America is the not that bright but really cute, loud, rich, popular kids at the cafeteria table who crack all the jokes and run everything but are not getting great grades. We're the stupid cool kids in every single teenage ensemble cast. We're the jock and his dumb girlfriend. We're the bullies at the table. We created this mess. So how dare you benefit from creating it when it was working in our favor, but not help us get out of it now that it's fucking eating us alive? All right, that's enough of that for today. Yes, we are the stupid cool kids. If you watch Something Superman, there was a documentary about education that came out about 10 years ago. It said America was like number 70 in education and number 2 in confidence. You guys, there's studies. I'm not making this shit up because I just like to be defeatist. I'm just telling you the facts because I'm a nerd. So, if you voted already, thank you. I'm going to vote tomorrow. If you're going to vote next week, thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys posting your stickers. Just know that pretty privilege is great when you're standing next to a man. It works against you when you're trying to replace one. And Kamala Harris is a bad bitch running for president. So this live was very on time. And if you have a guy in your life who is misogynistic as fuck, but looks like his heart is open to evolving, feel free to tell him to watch this live. And if you're someone who likes self-mastery and you enjoyed this fun little kiki, register at winter25.eventbrite.com. Currently, the registration is on sale because I want to make sure that money doesn't stop y'all from joining us. And I love y'all, but I gotta go. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Bye, family. Somebody said they're from Houston, Texas, and they voted. I'm proud of you. Oh, wow. Look at all the people who are writing that they voted. Oh, that makes me so fucking happy. All right. I'm going to upload this one on YouTube, so I gotta go because I want to do that before I fall asleep. All right. Love y'all. Bye.